Hi ladies, hello, good morning. Welcome to my live Ask Me Anything. I love doing these question and answers. They're so fun for me. You guys ask amazing questions, and it's really fun to get to interact with you here in the group. So please, as usual, let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me. Drop a comment. I always love to hear where you guys are watching from and just how you're doing in general. So please feel free to say hi, leave a comment. And as I'm going along here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check the comments. So this Ask Me Anything is basically an open session for you guys to bring your comments, to bring your questions, to bring stuff that you're struggling with, and drop them in the comments, and I will be able to answer them, okay? I see LaShawn, good morning. Okay, perfect. Can you guys hear me? Thank you for the comment. And yeah, please just leave me a comment here. I just want to make sure that I can read the comments here so I can answer the questions. Okay, so again, this is my Ask Me Anything. Bring all of your questions here about dating, about relationships, about love, about healing from a toxic relationship. Hi, Debbie. Okay, great. You guys can hear me and see me. I will even be taking personal questions. Like if you guys have a question about me, my journey, my current relationship, I will answer that. I am an open book here. And also, I offer spiritual guidance. So if you have some guidance, if you have some questions about spiritual awakening, the spiritual journey, I will answer them here too today. So this is like Ask Me Anything. I really mean it. You can ask me anything here today. So before I do that though, in case you are new here, I want to just make sure everyone knows who I am. My name is Lindsay, and I help women heal from bad relationships, break this bad relationship cycle, release subconscious blocks, and find real love. So if you guys are struggling with this and you're interested in working with me, I've put the link to my booking calendar in the description of this video. Feel free to book a call with me. It's free, it's short, it's just a chance for you and I to chat, see exactly what you're going through, and see if I may be able to help you. All right, so let's just get into it here. I'm very excited. So again, as I'm doing this, drop your questions in the comments and I will go through and answer them. But the first question that I want to answer here, and it's one that keeps coming up in the group, so I wanted to address it. It's the question of, can I find love at age, fill in the blank, at age 50, at age 60, at age 70, 80, whatever it is. Many people come with the question, thinking in their head, am I too old to find love? Can I really find real love at this age? Hi, Jesselyn. I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. So the answer to this question is yes. Yes, you can. If you can talk to people, if you can connect to people, if you're open to meeting new people, then there is no reason why you cannot find real love. Is it sometimes harder as you get older? Yes, that is a reality. It does get a little bit harder as you get older, just because more people are now settled down. More people are in long-term relationships, but there are always single people. So just like you all are coming back onto the dating market at age 50, 60, 70, there are men, if you're interested in dating women, there are other women who are coming back onto the dating market at that age. People go through divorces. Unfortunately, spouses will pass away. So there will be single people out there. So again, as long as you are able to talk to people, you're open to meeting new people, yes, you can absolutely find real love, okay? So I don't want anyone to be discouraged that just because they're a certain age, they won't be able to find love. It's absolutely possible. What will increase your chances of finding real love is if you're open to trying some new things, like online dating, like doing some activities that maybe you wouldn't have done in the past, but you're open to trying now. that will definitely increase your chances of finding love. But, like I was talking to one of my clients about this yesterday, it only takes one person. There are billions of people on this planet. There are millions of people who are single. It just takes one, okay? So these are not impossible odds here. You absolutely can find real love at any age. So but also thank you guys for coming into this group and being vulnerable about your fears, your worries. That's what I'm here for. That's what this group is for. So thank you for that. Okay. So let me start going through the comments here. Again, as I'm doing this, please put your questions in here and I will answer them. Okay. So LaShawn asked, why is it so hard to break a trauma bond? That is a great question. So a trauma bond is essentially an emotional attachment, right? It's that emotional connection that you feel to someone who is not good for you, right? Who's either abusive, is just not treating you well, is kind of toxic in general, right? So it's that glue that keeps you tied to this person. And that's one of the hardest things to come out of. To come out of that is essentially going through a process of grieving and withdrawal. When you're in a trauma-bonded relationship, it is like an addiction. It is not any different from having an addiction to a substance or shopping or, whatever it is, gambling. So when you go through that process of trying to undo the trauma bond, it's like breaking out of an addiction. And that's why it's so difficult. When we're in these relationships where there's intermittent reinforcement, they've done research here. These are highly addictive relationships. The intermittent reinforcement, the hot and cold, the off and on, the abuse, and then the cycles of the honeymoon phase, the honeymoon period, that's what makes these relationships so addictive, and that's what makes it harder to come out of the trauma bond. So, LaShawn, if you are struggling with this trauma bond, you are far from the only one. I went through this. Many of the women I've worked with have gone through this. There's many women here in this group who are going through this as well. Some of the things that I used personally and what I use with my clients to help break this trauma bond a little bit faster are things like energy healing, guided meditations, hypnosis is another way to do this. But these are all ways to get into into the subconscious and release the emotions that are keeping that trauma bond intact. But it is, no matter which way you go about it, it is a difficult thing to come out of. So again, LaShawn, I hope this answers your question, and you are far from the only one that is experiencing this. All right, so I'm going to go to now a question that I had from a post, one of the posts that I did yesterday. So someone asked, how do I get past the disgust that I feel towards men in general? I don't want to be this way. I used to be so loving and fun and open, and now I'm like this bitter, hateful, angry, resentful person that I barely recognize. So this is a very, very normal part of the healing process, especially when you've been in an abusive relationship, a toxic relationship. I went through this too. I went through this phase as well. I went through a phase where just thinking about a person, just thinking about dating someone, thinking about a man, I was like, no, I want nothing to do with it. I am not interested in men at all. I wasn't into it. I felt a literal disgust. So I want to just validate for you that this is normal. It's okay that you're experiencing this. And from my experience, I've known this to be a phase. Okay? So what I did to come out of this was I let myself go through this. I let myself go through it. I let myself be disgusted for a while. I let myself be turned off. And simultaneously, I also hit it hard. I hit that disgust hard with healing tools, things like energy healing, guided meditations. And that made me go through it a lot faster. It's basically, okay, I'm going to describe it in terms of a spiritual awakening. As you're going through a spiritual awakening, there's going to be different layers of ego that you're going to hit. One of those layers is very often disgust. Sometimes there's hatred in there. So your job is not to pretend that it's not there or try to make it go away. Your job is to just let yourself move through it. It's going to be, I can almost guarantee you that this is a temporary phase. It's part of the healing process. So again, there's some things that you can do to move through it faster. But if you're experiencing this, let it be okay. Remind yourself that it's temporary, and it's actually a side effect of going through a very, very deep healing process. Okay? So if you have some further questions for me and you want to contact me, whoever answered this question, you are free to. But I hope that this, again, answers your question here. All right, let me go through the comments here. Let me see what other questions I have. Hi, Danielle. Okay, how do you attract more quality prospects? Oh, this is a great question. And I think I saw down here you had another question too. I've done a lot of healing on myself. How do I now attract healed people themselves? I keep attracting codependents. Okay, yeah, great question. So I can answer this by explaining what worked for me, what I did. I had to completely reorient myself I had to completely change my attraction pattern. So how I did this was I got very clear on what I was looking for. And you may have done this already, but I made out a very specific list of things I was looking for. I did not want someone codependent. I wanted someone who was able to connect with me and have that secure attachment, but wasn't codependent. So that was a big thing for me. Number 2 was I wanted someone who was healthy, who wasn't abusive, who treated me well. And I think the third thing that was really important to me was compatibility. Just somebody that I vibed with, or that we just, not that I was looking for chemistry, but someone that I just felt like I could be myself around and who treated me well and valued me and respected me. So those are my 3 main things that I was looking for. And then basically what I did was I kind of just ignored anything like chemistry, butterflies, because I knew that had steered me wrong in the past. I knew that had brought me to people who were either abusive or codependent or just not people that I was looking for. And so I basically went from dating completely based on feelings to dating based on my rational mind. And I know this, to many people, this might sound really unromantic, or just you mean I'm not going to go by chemistry or feelings? It's actually, it sounds unromantic, but it's not. So what this did was it got me out of my emotion feeling, and it got me into this zone where I was like, you know what? I'm only going to look for these specific qualities. And so I did that, and it was a very, very different dating experience than in the past. What happened was I didn't feel I can explain what happened with my current partner. I didn't feel this initial intense attraction to him like I had in the past. It was a slow burn. So he had these qualities. He was showing up with these qualities. He was really interested in me. He seemed great. We had a great time. But in the beginning, I was like, I don't know. I'm not feeling that same thing that I used to feel with people who were not right for me. So knowing that, I just kind of went with it. I kept talking to him. I kept engaging with him, and the attraction grew. It took time. It wasn't all at once. So that's how I shifted it, Danielle, and that's how I guide my clients to shift this as well. Because, for people like me, and I think you get it too, when we've been in all these bad relationships, we develop this pattern of being drawn towards people that make us feel a certain way emotionally. So I know, like, again, I hope this is making sense, but for me, I literally had to like throw all that emotion away just in the beginning, just so I could be very, very clear about the type of person that I wanted to be with. So yeah, again, if you have any further questions here, you can type them in, but I do hope that this answers your question. Okay. Let me see. Any other questions here? You guys, this is my Ask Me Anything. So literally ask me anything. Okay, Janelle says, how do you know if someone is truly compatible for you? I love this question. Okay. So how to tell if someone is truly compatible with you is if they are making you feel certain things. Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Do you feel like you can be yourself? And do you guys have enough of a similar way of being, like a similar lifestyle, to where it feels like the relationship could work? So for example, like if you are someone who loves to always be on the go, like you love to travel, you love adventures, and your partner is more, they like to stay at home, they like to not do very much, they're more of a homebody, that would be an incompatibility. So knowing whether someone is compatible for you or not is really a matter of thinking, okay, how does this person fit into my lifestyle? You know, do we have similar values? Do I feel good in this relationship? Do I feel appreciated, valued? And are we just basically on the same page? Okay. It's, again, I don't advocate looking for things like strong chemistry. You want some chemistry, yes, but strong chemistry is usually not a good indicator of compatibility, or how excited someone makes you is, again, usually not a good indicator of compatibility. It's how you guys mesh and how you feel in the relationship. You want to feel overall very, very good, very safe, very secure, and loved and appreciated. Okay, and your partner should feel the same way as well. So Janelle, I hope this answers your question here. And if you guys have, if you need more clarification here, drop a comment. Okay, Danielle, good, this makes sense, perfect. Yeah, the way I look at it, I don't think about, back to your question, Danielle, I don't think about it so much in terms of like how to attract someone. I really just think of it more in terms of like, okay, how do you find this person that you're looking for? And it helps. I know, Danielle, like you have done a ton of healing work. That makes you show up in a very, very attractive way. So like, I'm not even worried about you attracting people. All right, Janelle, perfect. I'm glad that helps. Okay, so guys, any other questions here? Again, I will answer questions about my personal stuff. I will answer spiritual questions. I will answer dating love questions. Okay, so Janelle says, in my past relationship, I had all the security and safety, but not lifestyle compatibility, and it broke us. Yeah, that's why I talk about lifestyle. Lifestyle is a huge make or break thing in relationships, because you can have all the safety in the world, you guys can respect each other, you can like each other, but if you don't have the same way of living, it's really hard to maintain a good relationship. I can tell you that like one of the reasons why I'm with my current partner now is because we are like unbelievably compatible in that way that we move through the world together. Like we like to do the same things, not all the same things, but we have the same level of recreating and work and resting. So like we like to recreate in the same way. Like we're not super adventurous people, but we like to go on adventures sometimes. We like to take walks. What else? Like we like to travel occasionally when we can. And we like to do the same kind of like downtime things together. So that's huge. That's huge for compatibility. Yeah. Okay. Debbie asks, how long did it take you to transition as you moved through meeting your current partner? I'm sure it's different for each of us. And yeah, Debbie, can you just clarify here what you mean by transition? I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Do you mean coming, like how long did it take me coming out of a bad relationship? Or just please clarify that. I'm not sure exactly what you mean here. Hi, Samara. How do you get that man to commit, or do you just have to move on? Great question here. So this group is about creating healthy relationships, finding real love. So I'm not going to give you tips and tricks of like how to keep a man, how to get him to commit to you, how to hold on to a man, because that's not what's going to get you into a healthy relationship. Unfortunately, I have been there, done that, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, maybe you can get a man to stay with you for a little while, but it's not going to be the type of relationship that's going to make you feel fulfilled, that's going to make you feel safe and happy. So getting someone to commit is not something that I would recommend doing. I mean, Samara, you can put in some more details here so we get a little bit better of a picture of what you're dealing with. But if you're with someone who you have to like beg to commit to you, or you have to like figure out a way to trick him to be with you, I would say that this is not the right person for you. You know, I get this. I get this. I have been there. And I can tell you from personal experience, I got into a relationship with people that I felt like I had to kind of like drag into commitment. And that didn't change once we became committed. That's what it was like throughout the relationship. You know, I didn't feel safe. Like, yes, we were officially committed, but I didn't feel secure. I felt not good enough because I felt like I had to, again, like drag somebody in there. I always questioned, like, did they actually really want to be here? You know? So, yeah, Samara, if this is what you're feeling consistently with this person, or you feel like you need to talk them into commitment, it might be a situation where you do need to move on. I mean, all hope might not be lost. Like, if this is someone who you can talk to and they are interested in doing their own inner healing, their own introspection work, there may be some hope. You know, you can ask, you could say, hey, it seems like you're a little bit reluctant to go all in here. What's going on? You know, is there something going on that we need to discuss or talk about? You could approach it that way and see what happens, see what comes up, see what they say. But yeah, you know, I wouldn't recommend staying in a relationship where you feel like you have to convince somebody to be with you. Ideally, what you want is someone who is on the same page as you, whose feelings are reciprocal, who wants to commit to you, just like you want to commit to them. This is what makes a good, healthy relationship. So if you're not having that, that is something that I would question and consider moving on. So thank you for the question, Samara. Okay, so Debbie, back to your question. So Debbie's question was, how long did it take me to transition as I moved through meeting my current partner? And then, so you clarified that from not having the chemistry type feeling to feeling a bond. Yeah, okay, so this is a great question. So I initially did feel a little bit of chemistry. It wasn't, I should, you know, be clear on this. It wasn't like there was nothing there. I did feel a little like, ooh, I like this guy. But it wasn't that same like super, super strong attraction that I was used to feeling. It was more a feeling of just like, I like this guy. He's interesting. Like I want to get to know him more. So that transition, I would say, I feel like I've gone through different phases of the relationship, but in the beginning, it took me a couple weeks. It took me a couple weeks to be like, this is so different from what I'm used to. It was almost like it was so different that I didn't even know what to make of it, because again, I was used to like these patterns of hot and cold, the up and down, the intermittent reinforcement, the honestly, the avoidant people as well. Those are the types of people who I had dated in the past. And what I mean by avoidant is avoidant attachment style. So I was used to like people pulling away and then coming close and just that whole roller coaster. And so this person wasn't like that. They were consistent. They kept showing up. And I was like, huh. It took me a couple weeks to kind of like wrap my head around this because, again, it was so different. And then the bond, the connection that I felt with this person, it just slowly grew and grew and grew over the next weeks and months. So it was definitely a process. It took a while. And there were times, I will tell you this, there were times in this transition period where I had some emotions come up that I think, like I was talking about in the previous question here, where I did feel some things like disgust, where I was turned off at certain times. And it wasn't because of this person. It was simply because my own stuff was coming up, my own resistance to love and people that cared about me. And it would take me like a day or two to work through that stuff. And then I would feel closer to my partner. So it's definitely a transition. And it's really why I do the work that I do, why I do the coaching that I do, why I do the energy healing work that I do. Because if you don't have anyone to guide you through it, you can kind of think that, oh, if I'm feeling these feelings, maybe this is not the right relationship for me. When no, not at all. It's just when you've gone from a bad relationship to a healthy relationship, that in itself is a healing process. So stuff's gonna come up, as it will tend to do with any healing process. So it's a journey, and it was one that, you know, there's a reason why I am such an advocate for finding a healthy relationship after you've been in an abusive relationship or just a bad relationship, because that process of being with a safe partner is so healing. It's so healing. Like it's the type of healing that I couldn't have experienced just on my own. So yeah, I hope that this answers your question here, Debbie. And this was a really great question. Thank you for asking it. Oh, and Samara, you're welcome. Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling those things, so it's time for me to move on. I think so. I will endorse that. Yeah. Because you can find someone who will be on board with committing to you. We can tend to forget that when we're in these types of relationships where we're not feeling appreciated, we're feeling like we got to pull someone into commitment. We forget that, yeah, in like a couple months, we could meet another person who would love to commit to us. So, okay. So Debbie asks again, did you feel like he was over the top, like because he was being too nice or overly complimentary? I feel that way with someone being too nice to me. Yeah, you know, this is a good question too. Debbie, I love these questions. Thank you. No, I've had that feeling before where with people where it's like way too much and I'm like, oh, like, I don't know, this is not feeling good. With this person, no, it didn't feel like that. It felt genuine. But I believe that this is because I had done so much of the internal work. I had released a lot of my baggage and I had released a lot of the blocks that I had to real love. So by the time this person showed up in my life, I was open to it, and it didn't feel like too much. It felt like when he would be nice to me and give me compliments, it felt like, yeah, this is what a relationship should be like. I was ready to take that in. So yeah, but I do get what you're saying. I have experienced that in the past, and that I will attribute that to some of the resistance I had to love. It was what kept me in these bad relationships with people that didn't appreciate me, because yeah, when someone would come at me with all of that just kindness, I was like, ugh, I don't know what to do with this, you know? So, okay, good. I'm glad this makes sense. Awesome. Oh, did I miss a question, Janelle, here? There's a question from Rosemary. Let me see. Let me scroll through here. Oh, good morning, Rosemary from Barbados. I love it. I love it. I don't see the question here. So Rosemary, if you did have a question, can you type it in again because it's not showing up here in my comments. Okay. So let me see what else here. So LaShawn asks, I'm an empath and all I seem to attract are hurt, damaged people. Will I always attract those kinds of people, or will I be able to attract healed people who can love genuinely? Yeah, so LaShawn, get it? I've been there. So yes, you will be able to attract people who can love you genuinely. And the biggest way that this can happen is by having boundaries. And as a former empath, I say boundaries and I take a big deep breath because boundaries are so hard for empathic people in the beginning. And I'm losing my voice here. But so when you're an empath and you feel people's stuff and you feel so deeply and you care so deeply, when you first start setting boundaries, it's so hard. And I know because that's how it was for me. But setting the boundaries and saying no to people who are not good for you, even though you feel deep compassion for them and you understand that the way that they're being is just because they are deeply hurt people, this is what changes your life. This is what gets you into a healthy relationship. And LaShawn, it's truly some of the hardest work you can do, setting boundaries and not getting drawn into those types of relationships again. But that is essentially how you change it. You know, it's as simple as that and as hard as that. So again, how you do this is you focus on your own healing. You focus on releasing all of your stuff as much as you can. You focus on getting to some of the underlying beliefs that you might have. Like you might believe that you need to save people like this, which isn't true. You know, the only people we can save is ourselves. We can't do it for anyone else. So just getting in there and seeing that kind of thing. But you absolutely can attract people who will treat you well, who have either done their own healing or don't even need to do any healing because they're already good. They're already kind people, okay? But, you know, a lot of the stuff that empathic people carry around is feelings of not good enough, feeling like, you know, I'll share my own experience. So I 100% considered myself to be empathic back in the day. I don't actually consider myself empathic anymore because I have just done so much of my own healing. That has kind of gone away. I don't have that same experience anymore. But when I was in that experience, underneath all of the concern for other people, underneath all of the feeling other people's stuff, was my own feelings of unworthiness and discomfort with people actually loving me. So when I got in there and started to shift that stuff is when this also shifted for me. So the answer is yes, LaShawn, you absolutely can. It is 100% possible. And boundaries is the biggest way to shift this. Okay. Oh yeah, so that was my next question. Yeah, you know, it's getting into a healthy relationship is a long healing journey, but it's so doable. It's so doable and it's so worth it. Like when I look back at my past and I look back at my previous relationships, it's honestly like inconceivable where I was to where I am now. When you get to the point where you can have a healthy relationship, it's just so much easier. Like there's a reason that I'm now able to do this work, to help you guys, to have this group, to run a business, because I have the time and energy to do it now. My life is not consumed by my relationship anymore. I spent so much of my time and energy in the past just trying to figure out my relationship, trying to be okay in it, trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to fix about myself? What do I need to heal to make this relationship okay? I don't have any of that anymore. There's no drama. My relationship is just kind of like this security safety net in the background. Like it's a non-issue. So again, yes, it's a healing process, but it's 100% worthwhile. And thank you for the question, LaShawn. So Rosemary asks, is there such a thing as a soul tie? I broke up with my partner, but I can't get him out of my mind and heart. Oh, this is a good question. Thank you, Rosemary. So the way I look at this, I look at this differently from a lot of spiritual people out there. I do not believe there is such a thing as a soul tie. What people are just talking about here is a deep, deep trauma bond. And often, so when we experience the feeling of being with a soulmate, it's really an illusion of the mind. And it's an illusion that can feel very, very real. I have been there. I have felt it. I was convinced that I was with soulmates, twin flames, all that stuff. Because it feels so real. It feels like you've known this person forever. Or you meet someone and you have this connection right away and you feel like you've known them for lifetimes. They just feel so familiar. But what's really happening here is they are mirroring a type of feeling that you've had in your childhood. So let's say, for example, you had a really difficult mother. She didn't show up very well. She wasn't able to raise you in a way that made you feel loved and secure. So then later on, you meet someone who subconsciously mirrors those feelings you had when you were a child, and it feels like a soulmate relationship. And so I think what people are referring to when they say soul ties is this deep trauma bond, this emotional attachment that you develop for a person because of the wounds that you carry around from childhood. So, yeah, Rosemary, I feel for you here. This is normal. Whenever we break up with someone, there is a grieving process that we have to go through. And what fuels that obsessive thinking about this person is the grief that's coming up. So it's not the other way around. It's not that you keep thinking about this person and therefore you're having these emotions. It's the emotions that are fueling the thoughts. And so, again, this is very normal. Part of the work that needs to be done to help this move along is to release a lot of that emotional stuff that's keeping you feeling like you are tied. And I understand this word. It can very often feel like you are tied to this person at a soul level. It makes sense. But again, it's nothing more than just a deep, deep trauma bond. And so all the things that people tell you to do to release a trauma bond, that's the advice that I would give to you. Do the emotional healing work. Release it as much as you can. Let yourself go through this grieving process. Address any beliefs you might be having about about the past relationship or yourself that you developed from that relationship. That will also help this to move along a little bit faster. But ultimately, like I tell this to everyone I work with, there is no magic bullet here for releasing pain from a breakup. There is still a process that you have to go through. There's things that can make it easier, and I say that the tools I have found are like the closest thing that I have found to a magic bullet, but it's still not, there still is nothing out there. You still have to go through this grieving process in order to truly heal and to move forward. So Rosemary, thank you for the question. I hope this answers it here. All right, so I don't want this to go too long here today, but any other questions, you guys? These were some really, really great questions. I loved answering them. But yeah, drop them in the comments here. Let me just go through and make sure I did not miss any. Okay. Yeah, I'll stay here live for a few more minutes. But again, as I said in the beginning, if anyone of you watching, if you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, let me know, by the way. I like to know that. But yeah, if you are interested in working with me and releasing some of this subconscious stuff that's either like holding you back from love, holding you back from being open to meeting someone, keeping you in a trauma bond with someone, message me or click on the link above, and yeah, we can chat and see what we can do here. But I don't see any more questions, so I'm gonna sign off here. Thank you guys so much for participating in this. It's so much fun to do this, and I will talk to you next week. All right, everyone. Oh, Samara, oh, you're so welcome. All right, guys, take care.